What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Optimize You podcast. In today's episode, first of all, happy Thanksgiving. Alex and I go in and share our tips, tactics, strategies, and what we're doing personally to navigate through the holidays, more so specifically on Thanksgiving, so that we can have success, be confident, and have fun and enjoy time with friends and family. Let's get into it. Well, cool, man. Let's talk about it, dude. Let's jump in. All right, first and foremost, are you traveling for Thanksgiving? Are you staying local? Like, what are you doing?
No, staying local. Just around AZ this year. I think next year Marissa and I'll start to spend one holiday, whether it's Thanksgiving or Christmas, up in Minnesota, and then one down here in Arizona, probably.
Nice, yeah.
Or one out in Utah, depending on. She has a lot of family out in Utah, so kind of just we're this year is a little bit busy with work and different things, so we won't be able to do that. I'll be making a quick trip up to Minnesota around Christmas time, just for like 2 days. But so we're staying around here, going to be doing it with just us and her dad. And so it's going to be good, just small crowd. We're going out to dinner. Marissa's on call for work at the hospital that day. And so we're going to do a dinner out at a nice restaurant and get like a turkey dinner type, some sort of Thanksgiving type meal. So
cool, man.
How about you? What do you got going on?
I'm staying local too. We usually go to my mom's house, so we'll go to my mom's. I'm actually going to my dad's the weekend before because his birthday was yesterday, so we usually celebrate like his birthday and Thanksgiving. But I'll be doing Thanksgiving back here in like the Portland area, so we're gonna travel this weekend. My sister, we're gonna go to Kennewick, Tri-Cities, which is only like 3 hours away. So we'll go up there, spend this weekend with him, and then when we come back, at the time this will be shown or provided live, this will be on Thanksgiving Day, so I'll be back home already. But yeah, that's what we're doing. We're staying local. I'm not traveling anywhere, dude. I've traveled for like Christmas and it was a nightmare, and I promised myself like, oh, I'm never gonna do that again. So I would imagine it's probably pretty similar during Thanksgiving, but staying local, man. I like to just chill and eat and have some fun, man. That's it.
Yeah, that's
Friday too, with a couple of my buddies. We're putting together right now just like a little turkey derby fishing tournament on the Friday after, which will be cool. So we're pumped. Hopefully weather permits, but yeah, we're just going to do, usually like in the tournaments, you do 5 fish limits. We're just going to do a little 2 fish limit and just a little half day, right? So from first light in the morning till noon, midday. And that'll be the Friday after. That'll be Black Friday. That'll be the Friday after Thanksgiving. So looking forward to that too, man. So a lot of good stuff.
Well, it's going to be awesome. That's
man.
That's a lot of fun. You got a good setup close to home, which is always nice. And now what is your approach on Thanksgiving? I know this podcast, really, we're going to dive into how we approach Thanksgiving. It's really a health fitness podcast. So I know like a lot of people struggle with this time when we get into Thanksgiving, the holidays. You see a lot of folks, and hand up, been there, who January 1st have found themselves 5-10 pounds higher on the scale. Mm-hmm. Right. And so like, I think that there's approaches that I know I've used like since those times that have helped me out a lot, but I'm curious to hear what you do on Thanksgiving in particularly, but also just holiday season.
Yeah. So personally, like traditionally what I've been doing on Thanksgiving for the last, I would say it's like a newer tradition. I've done it for maybe the last like 4 or 5 years now, is me and one of my buddies here that I train with, we go on a hike every morning. So first thing in the morning, we go on a hike. And this is something that I preach to my clients too, is like, if you are going to do something in the morning, try to get up before you go travel, try to, before you convene and get with family and get some sort of movement in. It doesn't have to be a workout, but if you just get some steps in, move your body, right? Get the blood flowing, knowing that you're going to consume a higher amount of calories than usual. And it just sets the tone for the day. So we're picking a hike. We've done multiple and hopefully, again, if weather permits and the ice isn't brutal, we have a hike picked out, Kings Mountain, that we want to do, Elk/Kings Mountain. So there's like a transition. You kind of go between two of them. And I haven't done that particular hike yet, so I'm kind of pumped to do it. And it's crazy because like you get done at, we're going to probably go at like, 7, 8 in the morning. And then when we're done, you got 20,000 steps, you got 15 to 20,000 steps, and it's, people are still getting up. And so I love being ahead. I love getting a jump. I know that sounds kind of extreme, but like, you don't have to do that. Just going for a walk in your neighborhood is something I'd recommend, right? Like just with the family, if you can get multiple people to tag along, a couple, walks around the block, or even if you even simplify it, just walk in the house, just walk some laps in the house, get your body moving is really the first and foremost. And then there's some things I tack onto that after too. But what's one of the first things that you do, man? Like what's right
Yeah.
off the jump?
I'm huge on that too. Get a workout in, get a walk in, something along those lines, get some movement in. I think that's a good start to the day, and get a nice first meal in, depending on when you eat, right? Like I know we're going out to dinner this year. And food would start at like 11 a.m., and other Thanksgivings. And so maybe, I was getting something light in, some good high protein, maybe like a Greek yogurt bowl, like something small after a workout or a walk, stuff like that, just to kind of start the day off with something solid. But very similar to you, I like to get some movement and exercise in of some sort in the morning to kind of just give yourself a good win before you move into the food, which is the next part. How is your approach with food on Thanksgiving?
Yeah. So like I kind of change it up depending on the year and how I'm feeling. So if I am going to eat breakfast, sometimes I'll just fast, right? Like, so that's an option for me as well. Generally speaking, now leading up to it, I've been having some sort of shake or higher protein breakfast. So I'm not going to change anything or too much I'm going to call it game day on Thanksgiving, right? Like I'm not going to change my approach too much, especially if I have gone on that hike and walked 15 to 20,000 steps. Like my body's going to need the fuel, and I'm going to make it a protein priority. So even if it's something as simple as a shake, like you mentioned, Greek yogurt, I might do some eggs, right? I'm going to have something there that is prioritizing protein. And I'm going to, if I can, I'm going to save the carbohydrate for later. I'm going to get plenty of those later in the day. So I try to make it a protein priority with whatever I have. And I'll just decide the day of, but it's definitely going to be between those options right there. Traditionally, if I haven't, like before I was doing the hikes and things like that, and if my energy expenditure wasn't super high, like in the morning, I would just do, again, something with like protein, right? And making sure that I choose something that's super simple, whether it's as simple as a shake, right? Doing a whey isolate scoop with maybe a little bit of fruit in there. And you can include some fiber in there as well to help keep you satiated, and obviously help with gut health as well. Like some blueberries, you could throw some blueberries in there, something like that. Really light. I would probably hold off on the fats. That's just me personally, knowing I'm going to get a bunch of those later in the day as well. So really just prioritizing protein any way that I can. How about you, man? I know you mentioned Greek yogurt.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you do?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just same as you, prioritizing protein. But then, I mean, my approach to the day is like it's one day. I think
Yeah.
that's a huge thing. Like I'm gonna enjoy myself. I'm gonna have whatever I want to eat. I just kind of my approach is like try not to feel like shit at the end of the day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like feel good, like feel fine, and then just get on back with what I was doing Friday. Right? Like it's. I think it's easy to, and I've done this before, where you have that all or nothing type thing, and it's where you go into Thanksgiving and you feel like either you have to be like still on point with exactly what you were doing, otherwise you're going to ruin your progress, or you go completely off the rails. You feel like crap. You wake up the next day, you're like, I might as well just keep going with this, and it turns into like a whole weekend thing, right? Which that's going to happen, for some folks, right? And that's fine. But it's like the quicker you can kind of get back on to what you were doing before, the better. Just also like getting your mind wrapped around the fact it is just one day out of 365, right? Christmas is one day out of 365. Now, mind you, I know that some people maybe have a Friendsgiving and, a few different Thanksgivings and, multiple Christmases. And like you have these different things throughout that can be a lot more food. But that's why I just use the approach of just don't feel like crap at the end of the day. And maybe like, would have a different approach for certain ones. If I had like 5 or 6 different events I was going to, maybe I'd pick and choose the ones that I'm going to just like let loose on and just really fully just not really worry about anything that I'm eating. And then have some ones where maybe I'm going to have like a little bit more of a approach where I prioritize different things when I'm eating and kind of not go crazy, maybe have a little bit less dessert. It's but that's the whole message that I want to relay to people is that like just enjoy yourself. Like it's a
Yeah.
day for family and being grateful for people in your life and the things that you have and it shouldn't be a day where you stress about what you're doing, you're eating, you're drinking too much, right? It should just be a day where you allow yourself to enjoy the amazing food that's going to be on the table for you.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. And one thing I tell my clients to do too is like, I don't want to see them track on a holiday like that. I don't want to see like we've been so diligent leading up into that point, and it's that's going to be a tough pill for some people to swallow if they're very like analytical driven. They love seeing the data. They want to track on Thanksgiving. By all means you can go for it, but I don't require it from my clients. I want to see like zeros on the board that day, just because I want them to enjoy it, and I want them to use more of an intuitive approach. I think you brought that up, and that's a great perspective. And I think the easiest way to manage that and be in control of that situation is start with the end in mind, right? You talked about like, hey, my goal is to not feel like shit after today. And so if you can fast forward and go, all right, so how do I want to operate? How do I want to feel the next day? And then also not being so hard on myself that I feel like I have to make up things. Like I feel like I have to add on an extra 5,000 steps, or I have to not eat and I have to fast, or, I have to do double days on my workouts, or I got to do extra cardio. It's not about like making up anything. There's nothing to make up. You just seamlessly transition back in your routine the next day, the following day. And so I think that's big to hammer home for people is don't overcomplicate it. You can use more of an intuitive approach. I would say slow down. And then also, here's one thing that I notice that people do too, and I find myself doing it too, is loading up your plate with a little bit of everything. It's like, that's cool to do, but why don't you just load it up with the stuff that you actually enjoy, that you don't get to eat all year, right? Like, and you don't have to have a little bit of everything if you don't like it. Nobody's forcing you to eat it, right? Like you can hurt some feelings and be like, oh yeah, I didn't try your pie or whatever it is, like I didn't try so and so's whatever. Like it's fine if you don't want to eat it, don't eat it. Like I think people are in that position where they feel like obligated to eat certain dishes or at least have everything. If you like that, great, by all means. But if you feel like you're being forced into doing that, like, dude, just get what you want. Like, load your plate up with whatever you want. Eat till you're satisfied. Slow down. Pace yourself. That's a big thing. I like to sip water in between. And then that way you can have more of an intuitive approach versus it just being a free for all on one side of the spectrum, or being so diligent where you feel like you're tracking everything either, right? Just find that sweet spot that works for you. And you'll find that you're in so much more control, and that you have a grasp on the situation. You can be confident in doing so, right? And that's what I tell my clients to do, and that's how I approach it too.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's a really good way to go about it. I think like the last thing I really have is just like I like to throw in a little after meal walk. I think that's a good
Absolutely.
little thing to do. You can get some people to come with you if you got a bunch of people there, maybe some cousins or family, friends, whatever you kind of however you go about Thanksgiving. I think that's a good little. It doesn't have to be anything crazy, but it feels good. I think kind of getting a little bit of movement in there in the afternoon, evening. I've always found is just a good little approach. Just a little cherry on top, but you don't have to. By all means, you can just kind of use that morning exercise and movement and just call that good for the day. But that's just another thing I like to throw in sometimes is just a little afternoon.
Absolutely. So let's recap real quick. So we got Thanksgiving Day. We want to get movement before and after. So start your day with some movement. If you are going to eat, prioritize protein early and often. It's going to help you stay full. It's going to help you stay satiated. You're going to have a bunch of carbs and fats later in the day. After you've got some movement, hopefully you can bring some friends and family with you. Go ahead and eat whatever you want to eat. Load up your plate to things that you feel like you actually want, not things that you feel obligated to have. You don't have to have one of everything. Just get what you want. Pace yourself, slow down, drink water in between, conversate, talk, enjoy the time. Post meal, you can, like Alex said, go on a walk, get your movement in again, right? It's going to help regulate, balance out your blood sugars. You're going to feel better. You're not going to feel bloated. You're not going to feel like you hate yourself. And you're going to be able to kind of bring that roller coaster down to like a nice, slow, controlled pace there. And then from there, most of all, just enjoy it. Don't worry about tracking each and everything, and have some fun doing so. Understand it is a holiday, not a holiday week, not a holiday month, not a holiday year, right? Like Alex said, it's one day. Enjoy it. Don't be so caught up in tracking and trying to be perfect with everything. have a good time, have some fun.
I love it. Couldn't have said it better myself. Hope you guys enjoy this one. If you do, send it over to somebody who maybe struggles with the holiday season or could use some few tips with how to eat around the holidays. All right, we hope this helps you. Thanks again for listening, watching every week. If you're new, make sure you subscribe. But otherwise, we hope you have a great rest of the day, a great Thanksgiving, and we will be talking to you soon.